seeing a cold front start making its way in yesterday. Not allowed to stay a little bit cooler in northern Minnesota, so we stayed into the teens. Some of us, like Graham Ray, stay into the low teens. However, you do notice that a few of us actually stay closer to seasonal, which means a lot of us around the mid-20s, all in the I-35 corridor around the Twin Ports going into northwest Wisconsin, just generally along the South Shore. So overall, some of us not too bad at all outside. Pretty typical for early December. But as we go to this morning, a very much different picture. Thanks to those clear skies we had overnight, a lot of those temperatures really dropped, especially northern Minnesota. That's where a lot of us got around 10 below, if not even colder. I mean, International Falls still there at 11 below. Even into northwest Wisconsin, we're still seeing some well below zero temperatures. Really the only warmer temperatures this morning going into the UP. Some places around Lake Superior along the North Shore as well. They're a little bit on the more mild side thanks to some cloud cover, but the high pressure system will continue to bring some clear skies early. But notice cloud cover is making its way on through. That means that temperatures will warm, but not a ton with a lack of sunlight. We're going to be mostly into the teens. And further east, where we have a bit more of that sunshine later on, we're actually going to be getting a little bit more into the low 20s, and areas around Lake Superior as well, staying low 20s, thanks to the influence of the lake. Now, as we start to get into the overnight hours, we're going to see temperatures do drop a good bit. We're going to probably see some single digits, especially once you go into areas around midnight. That's when we're still going to see those chilly temperatures possible. But we're going to start warming up a bit as we start to head towards Friday morning. We're going to see those temperatures start warming back into the teens for many of us going forward. And that's because we're going to have a system roll through. It's going to bring a little bit of cloud cover. And that cloud cover is going to move in today and it's going to want to stick around. So not going to get a ton of sunshine once we get later on today. And we might even see a few flurry actions, but when it comes to snow, we'll have to really wait until we get into tomorrow morning. This is going to allow for some of that warming just ahead of a cold front moving through and allow some light snow for much of the Northland. And we'll continue to see some snow for the South Shore as we start to head through Friday going into Saturday, while the rest of us still see clouds, but not going to be seeing much more outside of that. And if we look at the snow totals for much of the Northland, we're talking around, if not below, an inch of snow. Maybe some spots getting closer to 2 inches in northern Minnesota. So majority of us not going to be too snowed in at all by this point. Probably not going to see winter weather advisories come out. But if you're along the South Shore, it might be a little bit of a different story. This is where that lake effect snow can start to make an impact. We can see 3 to 6 inches potentially in some parts of the UP through late Friday. But if we pull out further than late Friday, then the snow totals start to go up. We're looking here at our Ironwood. We're starting to see that even as we get into the afternoon Saturday, snow totals ranging anywhere from like 3 inches, getting probably up to 6 inches there as well. And this is Ironwood. It looks like a lot of the heavier snow is going to be to the east of Ironwood. And you can look here along the South Shore. Once we get into areas like the Porkies, we're talking over half a foot of snow potential as we start to head through Saturday. So it is going to be a pretty snowy event for some of the higher elevation areas in the UP, just along the South Shore of Lake Superior. And to have this lake effect snow, you need a couple ingredients. Well, you'll definitely need those northwest winds. That's the wind pattern you'll need for them to bring that lake effect snow. And it is going to be quite blustery behind a cold front as we go into Friday. We're talking gusts 20, 30 miles per hour. It's going to be quite a breezy one. And that's going to be the same case going into our Saturday as well. A little bit calmer, but still very much on the blustery side. And this air has to be cold, and it will definitely be cold because we have an Arctic air mass sitting right up here in Canada, and those northwest winds are going to funnel it right here into the Northland. And it's going to make it chilly. By the time we get into our Friday, we're looking at the morning temperatures again into the teens for many of us. So kind of comfortable overall for a morning in December, but we're not going to be warming up through the day. In fact, for many of us outside of areas further east, we're going to start cooling down as we start to head towards the early afternoon. And then as we start to head through the rest of our Friday, by the time we get to the evening, we're talking temperatures around and not even below 0 degrees. And Saturday is going to be the coldest of the days we have coming up. Highs are going to struggle to get above 0 degrees. Low temperatures going to be in the negative 10s, negative 20s even, with the wind chills possibly dropping down to 35 below. Now, it's going to be a really cold one, and I mean absolutely frigid. That's why we're going to probably be seeing some cold weather alerts come out. So something we want to keep an eye on, and definitely just be ready to bundle up as we start to head towards the weekend. Now, you might be curious, how long is this cold air going to stick around? Is it going to be sticking around indefinitely into next week? Well, if you do consult this graph here, just take a second to analyze it. Yep. Yep, it is not going to be sticking around. In fact, it's going to be quite the opposite next week. A sharp change in those temperatures. I mean, by Tuesday, we're talking highs around and not above freezing. That's something we haven't seen here since November, so be really nice and comfortable by the time we get to Tuesday. But until then, we're going to have to deal with some of those colder temperatures, and thanks to the active weather pattern, we're going to see a couple snow chances as well, especially in far northern Minnesota, though all of us can see some snow next week. We'll have more updates with that. For now, though, you know, enjoy the cooler but relatively comfortable temperatures we're going to have to end the week, because this weekend it's going to be a really frigid one. You want to be ready for that. And then next week we'll get a little bit of a break from the cold as some warmer air makes its way in.